Well, howdy. Those of you who've been following my channel a little bit, remember back in the Iron Butt rally I had a bit of a problem when this thing went down getting it back standing up again. I said I'd have to figure it out. I've been practicing lifting it different ways and I got it fairly well figured out now. There's a little bit of a technique to it, and I figured instead of just talking about it, best thing to do is go ahead and show you. This thing is a bit more difficult to pick up than the big BMW GS 1250s or even the Harley Ultra Glides. This thing lays totally flat, but I'll show you when we get there. So let's get started. Now, we're going to pick it up. First thing we need to do is lay it down. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kick the power on, just because if you fall over, odds are the power was already on. Now at this point it's okay, but it's going to get to a point where it suddenly gets past the point of no return, which is right about here. Once it gets there, you ain't going to stop it. Okay, now one thing you're going to notice when the bike goes down, the emergency flashers start flashing. When you go ahead and you turn off the motorcycle, even after the power goes out, doesn't matter, it keeps flashing. You go over there to turn off the emergency flashers, doesn't matter, they keep flashing. Spend 5 hours out in the Mojave wrestling the thing back upright, doesn't matter, they're going to be flashing the whole time. Just get used to it. Now, one little irritating thing the motorcycle does is, besides the continuous flashing lights, kicks this little warning thing over there that your bike's tipped over. Just in case you didn't notice your bike's tipped over, I guess. Kind of like rubbing salt in the wound in a way, but there you go. Now there's a couple of things I do before I pick it up. I always go ahead and shut the power off. It doesn't matter, the engine automatically stops when it tips over, but I always shut the power off just because. Now, take off the tank bag. I didn't realize that before, but this tank bag is right where you need to be to lift this thing up easily. If the bag's here, it's going to push you a couple inches to the right, and it turns out that is really important in picking this bike up. It's a lot easier if you're lifting in the right place. So let's go ahead, pull off the tank bag, get it out of the way. Okay, while we're down here, I want to point out one other thing. These radiator guards are actually pretty good. If you take a look at it, there's a pretty good gap between the ground and the radiator shroud. The bars take the entire weight of this bike, so absolutely none of it's getting to the radiator. And that's a good thing because radiators are usually pretty delicate. First thing, when I said it was laying on its side, I really mean it's laying on its side. If you take a look, these wheels are nowhere near the ground. They're sitting up in midair. My whole fist fits under there easily. That's a gap you're going to have to close when you're lifting this bike up. And over here on the back, it's the same thing. Tires off the ground there. No traction at all. There's a plug from April Fool's Day. Now, one problem with it, like I mentioned in the interview I had with the Wheel Nerds, is if you're on a smooth surface and you're trying to pick it up, if you ain't careful, you're just going to be sliding the thing sideways down the road, and that's kind of depressing. The first thing you got to do when you pick it up is kick it over to where the tires are actually touching the surface. There's a few things I do. I go ahead and turn the handlebars all the way to the right. That way when I grab it, I can grab the brake lever as I'm coming up, and that'll keep it from sliding back and forth. Second thing you want to do is figure out where you're going to hold it down here. You want to hold it nice and tight, as close into the frame as you can get. You definitely don't want to grab it by the plastic. You know, I've got the new reinforced plastic ones, but I don't think it's going to handle picking this bike up. Also, when you're lifting, absolutely make sure you arch your back. You're moving a lot of weight, and if you pick it up bent forward, there's a good chance that you could actually hurt your back or even herniate a disc. If you do that, you ain't riding at home, even if you do get it standing up. Okay, when you get ready to lift it, you're going to have to squat way down. A lot further down you would if you was lifting a barbell in the gym. One hand over here on the brake, one hand real close to the frame. Jack it up until you feel the tires touch. Once the tires touch, arch your back and straight up. Walk back. I always make sure kickstand is down before I push it the last little bit. Now, one thing you noticed on that lift, at the very beginning of it, you saw how the bike was moving backwards. I didn't have my hand on the brake lever at the first part. I shifted over, grabbed my hand on the brake lever, that stopped the front. Now, if you're picking it up from the other side, you can't grab the brake lever. Just be aware of that. Okay, you got the bike standing up now, but them lights are still flashing. That's okay, because we're going to go through the steps to fire it back up again. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and turn back on the power. Now when the power comes back on, you're going to see the tipped over motorcycle thing is gone. You're going to have the side stand down. I put it down. It's in gear, the side stand's down, it always gives you that warning. It's also going to show that it's in limp mode, and you also got the flashing lights. Well, you can turn off the flashing lights now. I like that a lot better. And after you do that, next step, of course, to get it back into neutral, that gets rid of the neutral thing. I just go ahead and turn the whole bike off, let it shut down. And after it's shut down, I just go ahead and turn the whole bike back on. Heard the fuel pump kick on, kicks up, all set and ready to go. Yep, pretty much that's it. Just watch your back, make sure you got firm footing, put it in gear and hold that front brake. Once you do all that, just lift like you mean it, you ought to be good. Big thing is practice. After you do it a few times, you get used to it. When you try it the first few times, you probably want to have a friend over, just in case. Two people can lift this thing up usually okay, unless it's upside down in a ditch. If you're not used to lifting, it wouldn't hurt to go over to the gym and find somebody that actually knows how to deadlift properly and get them to show you how to do it with the proper arch back and stuff. And it wouldn't hurt to get a little bit of leg muscles built up either, because it is a kind of a heavy bike. The center of gravity seems to be right about where all them camshafts are. Well, that's it for now. Take care, and I'll see you again.